Okay, let's start with our first technique. Now this is one that, if I'm honest, I used to miss off. I just wanted to get into the drills, flip upside down and try to hang out for as long as I could. And it wasn't long before I started to realise that I needed much more strength in my forearms and much more strength and stability in my wrists, my elbows and my shoulders in order for me to be able to stay in the handstand for longer. So we start with just some rhythmic movement, create some circles in and around the joints, and then we move to some active stretching. As you can see here, I'm trying to really squeeze the underarm and the forearm to engage those tissues. And after a 20-second hold, I move in the opposite direction. Now I get two things from this. One, the alignment of the shoulders, so we can separate the shoulder blades, protracts the shoulders forwards. And also, imagine that your hands are pressing against the floor, nice and flat. Now we're going to take it further and we're going to start to include some of the upper body mechanics that we need for the handstand. So here we've got shoulder protraction, shoulders moving out of their sockets. We've got the flat palms, but also the alignment through the spine, so the core's engaged. A great way to start building up strength is to go into this pattern again, align right the way through the spine, tailbone tucked under, biceps to align with our ears. As you can see there, when I'm moving my tailbone, I'm arching and rounding the spine, or cat's cowing the spine. It has an incredible impact on the alignment of the shoulder, the elbow, the wrist, and the palms of the hands. So see whether you can stretch the spine in its nice elongated shape. Hold the dumbbells in the air for 20 to 30 seconds, and then when the muscles start to burn, start to increase in strength, then go through the same amount of reps, 20 or 30 reps. Next we take it to the wall. So we've started to work on our upper body alignment. Now it's important that we start to create the general intrinsic feeling of the alignment of the entirety of the spine. So before we even start to do some drills on the strength of the shoulders, turning our body upside down, it's important that we become aware of how our thighs need to be engaged, the difference between flaring the chest and arching the lower spine and engaging the core, and how it feels different to either look down to your hands or to look forwards. We'll practice both of these skills when we come into our handstand practice. Okay, this is another one that seems insignificant, but for me, it gave me a massive shift. To have the confidence to hang out in the handstand, I need to make sure that I'm comfortable and confident that I can fall correctly. So here, kick your legs up and just get used to releasing one hand, maybe stepping to one side or being able to twist and land carefully. Hollow body exercises. I love this one, and a really important core prep before we get stuck into the handstands. Notice the alignment of the spine. We're trying to round and dome the entire spine now, pressing the lower spine down into the mat. Think of bringing the lower part of the rib cage and the hips together. If you feel that you can take it further, then have the hands extended overhead like you can see now. I would suggest completing 3 to 7 reps of 10 to 30 seconds. Core will be fired up, then we can move on. Another great core drill is using socks to take our mountain climbers a little bit further. Make sure you've got a slippy floor. You can see here I'm actually on a grainy floor. It wasn't too comfortable sliding backwards and forwards. There was a little bit too much friction in the socks. But if you can polish your floor up, get it nice and slippy, you can go single leg with the mountain climbers, and then when you develop the strength in the quads and the hip flexors, pike up like you can see now. Really engage the core to lift nice and high. Next, we want to combine some strength within the abdominal area, the core area, the hip flexors area, with those shoulder protractions. I can't emphasize how important the feeling is of separating your shoulder blades, taking your shoulders out of the sockets. This is something I would do every single time I practice a handstand. To take it a little bit further, bring some more strength in, some more core stability in, come into the box that we often use. Spine's nice and straight, and then simply allow the shoulders to drop into their sockets and their cavity, and then push the shoulders out the sockets, separating the shoulder blades. Try to feel that you're engaging the abdominal area, the entirety of the core, from the thighs, the inner thighs, the hip flexors, the stomach, the chest muscles, and all the way into the shoulders. I always try to complete 20 reps and then hold for 20 to 30 seconds. Okay, we are finally ready to flip it upside down. We're going to start by going front facing the wall. Kick your legs up, walk your hands in as tight as you feel you can. And here you're working on the movement of the shoulder protraction. So pushing into the hands enough so shoulders come out the sockets, curling the pelvis under and feeling your way into that alignment. A great drill that helps us here are some shoulder movements. So we come in as though we're going onto a box position, hands sat underneath the shoulders, relax the head and the neck, and then just pump the knees backwards and forwards. Now it's going to feel like you're going to backflip over. That's all right. We're just getting used to building up the strength and also the connection between your hands, shoulders, hips all being in a straight line. Once we feel we've started to develop enough strength and we can hang upside down for a good period of time, I would say at least get to 30 seconds before we take it any further. Next, we come back into that 90-degree angle, rooting the hands down, trying to find the alignment between the hands, the elbows, the shoulders, the hips. Just simply spring the toes backwards and forwards off the wall. Catch your balance and really start to work on that feeling of getting your hips over your shoulders. Okay, kicking up, back against the wall. If you come in too tight, hands really close towards your feet, you just don't have enough momentum to get up. Step back, get some space, kick up. Right, for me, this was a massive shift. When I started to pay more attention to the strength that I needed in my fingertips, the strength that I needed in my forearms, and how when I'm upside down, I needed to develop strength in shifting the weight over into my fingertips, pressing down into the mat, and shifting my weight back over the heels of my hands. It's this interchange and interplay between the two that really gets us into that balanced state. You can see here that as my legs start to move off the wall and back to the wall, what's actually happening is that I'm pressing down into the fingertips to pull away and pushing down on the heels of the hands to find that balance and pivot point. I would suggest getting against a wall, focusing on the hands and the fingertips, and just allow yourself to come on and off the wall, engaging the entirety of the hands. Play with that state. That's where we're going to get our balance.